Now I invite Mr. Chrishantha Jayasinghe, the Managing Director of Sarva, Colombo, to speak on creativity and advertising in brand building.
So firstly, I must tell you, I am not a very good professional speaker, right? Generally, my hands shiver, my voice quavers, and sometimes I go off the script, I mess up my slides. So don't keep your anticipation very high. But, see, my hands are shivering already. I'm very nervous sometimes. But I have over 35 years of experience from taking brands from zero to hero. So let's look at this as a knowledge sharing session. So what I'd like to do is ask a question. Can all of you all remember the Easter Sunday bombing? Yes? Yes? Right? If I ask you what you were doing on that day when you were actually, when you heard the news of the Easter Sunday bombing, I'm sure all of you all will be able to tell me what you were doing. Is that correct? Can I have some, yes, acknowledgement? Yes. But if I ask you what you were doing the Sunday before that, or the Sunday after that, not many people will be able to tell you what they were doing at that particular time on that day, right? Because on that day, on the day of Easter bombing, people were scared, they were worried, they were concerned, and because of that, they remembered everything. So since there are a lot of young people in the house, let me ask another question. Does anyone remember their first kiss? It's been over 40 years for me, but it is still very much in vivid detail in my mind when that took place. And okay, I'm not going to ask anyone to raise their hands, but because I was excited, and one part I was scared, but because of all these feelings, to this day, I remember it very, very clearly to this day. So the point I'm trying to make, and which is very important in branding, is memory is linked to emotion. You know, memory is linked to emotion. And I'm also going to ask a few more questions. Can you tell me where I can get a decent kottu? Again, I'm sure some of you will say, oh, go to Pillar House. In my case, it would be Rahima's or Tasty. If I ask you where to get expensive kottu, you might say go to Renuka in Palmyra. But all of you all will have some kind of answer to this question when I ask this. If I were to ask you where to take my children to buy clothes, these are my two daughters. They're not children anymore, but yeah, they're kids to me. Again, certain places will come to mind. Some will say Mimosa, some will say No Limit. If I ask for a very cheap place, you might say go to Tiangra, down Timbrigasya. So always there are so many things coming into your consideration set. So the second point I'm going to tell you is ultimately what is a brand? A brand is just a tiny little emotional signature which is in our mind, in our brain, in our thoughts. So actually this is best put forward in a very simple manner by Jeff Bezos, who says, your brand is what other people say about you when you are not in the room. Now, to appreciate the value of branding and advertising, you got to go a little bit into neuroscience, because without that, it is just, magic what we do. So let's look at our purchasing behavior. So let's imagine you're buying a coffee. You want to get a coffee. There are so many coffee shops out there. You want to buy a coffee. And the moment this thought comes into your mind, if you were to put you into a scanner, the reward sensors in your brain lights up. Oh, I'm going to have a cup of coffee. It's going to be very good. It's going to be refreshing. It's going to, make me feel alive. All these reward sensors light up. But the moment you see the price, what happens? Another side of your brain lights up. That's called the pain sensors. No one likes to pay money. Everyone would like to get their coffee free. That's why you can see a lot of dancers having long, long crowds. So the thing is, your perceived value of that cup of coffee should be far superior to the 1,000 rupees you pay for you to make that purchase. It's very simple. Your pleasure should overcome the pain for you to buy. And that is where branding comes in. If any other coffee, you might not pay $1,000, but the moment you go to a Starbucks, you are willing to pay $5, $6 for a cup of coffee, which you can buy for $200, $300 elsewhere. So this is the thing what we try to do in branding and advertising. We try to ultimately justify that price people have to pay. And so why Starbucks? Again, if you're going to unknown land, we don't have Starbucks here. It is reliability. Also, it's trust. If you are in Sri Lanka and if you have some Starbucks with you, it's prestige. So there are lots of feelings and emotions attached to that purchase decision. Wherever I go in the world, if there's a Starbucks, I will spend $5, $6 because it's a treat for me and I feel good. So to the next level, we have to go into a little bit more neuroscience. Please sort of bear with me. So to appreciate the importance of emotions in branding, we need to understand the human brain. Now, in no way am I a brain scientist or a neurosurgeon. But if you look at the brain in a very high level sense, there are three areas. So you have the reptilian brain. Basically what it does is it says, can I really see someone? Can I fight with that person? Can I mate with that person? Or shall I flee? It's called the flight or fight. Flight or fight. Then you have the limbic brain and you have the neocortex, which is the rational brain. So the neocortex is the analytical mind. I was wondering whether I should wear a suit or whether I should wear a shirt. Should I come with my friends or should I come alone? But then there is the limbic brain, which is far older to the rational brain. In fact, here, in this particular part of the brain lies emotion, loyalty, trust, faithfulness. All these positive emotions which we want people to tell us lies here. Now, the amazing thing about the limbic brain is that it does not understand language. You see, you can only appeal to this limbic brain through feelings and emotions. That's why if your mother or father is asked, why do you love your child? They will never be able to put it into words because there are no rational reasons other than the fact that they are my children. And the best way to explain this is when it comes to saying, I love you. What scientists say is 70% of someone going and saying, I love you to a partner is based on non-verbal cues. Otherwise, all of us could go to our prospective partners and shout, I love you, I love you, I love you. And they will give us a slap, right? But it's on your tone of voice. It's on your body posture. That is what makes it the other party believe that this person really means what they say. So, again, to understand deeper on how emotions work in branding, we have to go a little bit more into neuroscience. In fact, this is from a book called Thinking Fast and Slow, the only psychiatrist to be able to win a Nobel Prize for Economics, Dr. Daniel Kahneman. He's an amazing chap, and this is human consciousness. I hope you can see it right from the back, right? It's divided into two. There is a tiny tip of the iceberg, and there is this large area. So this large area is called System 1. And one on top is called System 2. So System 1 is the autopilot. I wake up in the morning, I switch off the alarm, check my phone, go to the toilet. There is no brain power involved in that. While the pilot tells us, more involved thinking. The best way, all of you all are drivers, I presume. Originally, when you start driving, you are very conscious of what you do. But as time goes by, it becomes automatic. So first, System 2 kicks in, then System 1 kicks in. Now, the important thing is system 1 can actually process 11 million bits of information every second. It processes a lot of information, but we don't realize it. And that is where what we see, hear, touch, smell, remember, all of that is in this area of our subconscious. Remembering is very, very important for branding. While system 2 only can process 40 bits of information. So if I tell you 2 plus 2, you will say 4 automatically. That's system 1. If I ask you 256 into 356, system 2 comes in and it's going, you can feel the cogwheels of your brain working. So system 2 consumes 40% more power, right? And system 1 prefers to work, the brain prefers to work in system 1. That's how our human consciousness is. So according to Daniel Kahneman, system 1 is really the one that is more influential. It is guiding system 2 and steering system 2. Now, if you're into branding, you have your marketing activities need to activate system 1 and circumvent system 2 in order for people to think less and buy more. To think less and buy more. That is what ultimately branding is. You know, they will automatically buy our brand. When it comes to Astra, that happens. And I see some nice tea being packed, whatever tea. That is what automatically, at least in my house, people tell me to bring, you know. So that is all part of system 1 getting in action without that much thinking going on. It's all automatic. There's only one way to break through into this subconscious mind, and that is called the reticular activation system. This is deep neuroscience. You really don't need to worry about it much. But the reticular activation system, you know, acts as a filter. See, our subconscious actually takes what is happening in 2 kilometers around us. If we were to really take note of all of this, we will go crazy. So what the reticular activation system does is it filters it. And let me give you 2 examples. If you want to buy a car, let's say you want to buy an Audi, right? Suddenly you will see more Audis on the road because that is relevant to you. If you are in a crowded airport or in a crowded mall, if someone shouts your name, suddenly you will see or you will hear your name, you will get attention, even though there's a huge buzz all around you. So to get through to the reticular activation system, you need 4 things. There are emotions, right? We heard about this in the limbic brain. There is imagery. There is repetition, and there is something called goals. So in the advertising, what we do is we mix and match all these things to create work that works for our brands and to work that works for our clients. So when a product comes to us, this is basically how creativity in advertising works. We look at it in 2 ways. And the main reason why we do that is just because people hear, does that mean do they listen? Or just because people see, we see we see lots of things every day. We are exposed to sometimes 50,000 messages a day, but does not mean that people will look. So what do we do in creativity in advertising? We say the same thing most of the time in unusual ways. We say this usual in an unusual way. So when a client comes to us, this is very high level when it comes to creative strategy. When a client comes to us, this is how we look at it. We look at vivid demonstration, which means if there is something unique which makes it stand apart from the competition, then we highlight it. We bring it out in a major way. So we have vivid demonstration, which means we highlight the point of difference. And then we have vivid metaphor. Vivid metaphor is, when you really can't stand apart from the rest, you create an image around it. When you look at Lux or Milo or anything like that, that is what is called vivid metaphor. Again, you really don't need to know this. These are tricks of the trade, what we use. So let me just finish by showing you 2 examples. One for vivid demonstration, and these are the case studies. So vivid demonstration this is a client who came to us and said, listen, We are going to give, you can buy phones on an installment plan. Not many people do that. So we need to demonstrate that. And this is what we did.
හිතෙන හැමදේම කරන්න බෑ. හැබැයි ෆින්ට්‍රෙක්ස් මොබයිල් ලෝන් එකෙන් ටික ටික ගෙවන්න දැන් ඕනම ෆෝන් එකක් හිතුණා ගත්තා. ඔයත් ළඟම තියෙන ෆෝන් ෂොප් එකට අදම යන්න.
Very simple. And the message is meant to cut through, but we show it in an interesting manner. Then now let me show you something about metaphor. And this is case study is for Pan Asia Bank. They wanted to do gold loans. Now, if you see, I'm just going to skip these slides. So gold loans are highly competitive. If you go anywhere, you will see hundreds of ads and posters for gold loans, because there is pawn shops like EAP Jayasinghe, there is non-banking financial institutions, and there are banks. How do we differentiate? To be honest, if someone comes to Pan Asia Bank, I'm sure they are going to pass 3 or 4 of these things before they come to our bank. How do we get people to come? The first thing is the name, and that is to do, we came up with this thing called Attama. In rural villages all across Sri Lanka, especially in the agricultural areas, they have something called Attama. It is like a Shramadana where they work from one field to the other free of charge. Everyone comes together and they work with one another. Now, Pan Asia Bank it has island-wide presence, and we are talking largely to a Sinhala-speaking audience. So we named this product Rannattama, and we tried to give it a very Sri Lankan and a very friendly and family-oriented feel to this product vis-a-vis everyone else who were shouting about how much value they were going to give for a price of gold. So this is the commercial which was done for them.
මේ සේරම සීයාගේ කුඹුරුද?
ඔව් පුතාලටත් අයිති.
අපේ නං අය ගමේම අය එන්නේ වැඩ කරන්න.
ඊයේ මේ මාමලයි කුඹුරේ වැඩ කරන්න අපි ගියා. එයාලා අපේ කුඹුරේ වැඩ කරන්න අද ආවා. ඒකට කියන්නේ අත්තම. ඒ තමයි පුතේ අපේකම. අපි හැමෝම එකිනෙකාව තේරුම් අරගෙන උමනා එපාකම් පිරිමහගෙන සහජීවනයෙන් ජීවත් වෙන එක. පෑන් ඒෂියා රන්නත්තම උදව් කරන රත්තරන් හිතවතෙක්.
මාමේ වාඩි වෙන්න. අත්තම්මා අත්තමක්.
I doubt you have ever seen a commercial like this. And it worked for the client. We had a 49% increase in the customer growth. It was the number 1 in portfolio growth from private and state banks, including People's Bank and Bank of Ceylon, which was amazing, and 106% increase in portfolio growth. So, since most of you are studying marketing, you might be wondering what a Dalipi here is doing in my final slide. And the reason is, marketing is a two-edged sword. You can create trouble with it, or you can create pluses with it. So what I tell you is use your expertise wisely. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my little bit of knowledge with you.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring address. And I kindly ask again to come to the stage, dear sir. As I now invite Professor Nalin Abesekara and Mr. Denzel Pereira to stage to present the token.